Dating nightmares that have me questioning love. The first story, my girlfriend wanted to open our relationship while she went traveling. Okay, so basically she wanted permission to cheat on you. So that is not technically cheating on you. This story came March 7th, 2025. My 29 girlfriend, 26, of 8 months, has been out traveling solo on the trip of a lifetime. I was so excited for her, and we've been making sure to stay in touch with each other as regularly as we can so that we don't lose touch over those 2 months. On a phone call yesterday, she discussed feeling lonely and touch starved and missing her sexuality. I said I felt the same and I was really looking forward to seeing her again when she got back. Although I've always presented myself as a monogamous person in the early days of dating, before she left, we briefly floated the idea of her potentially flirting and kissing someone on a night out while I was away, which I wasn't thrilled at the idea of, but I thought that I could potentially deal with it. I floated this idea again, thinking it would make her feel better while she was away. Eventually, the conversation ended up reaching the point of her talking about being allowed to sleep with someone else while she was away, as she's on a trip of a lifetime and would love the freedom to do this. She said that she would leave the ball in my court, and I had a very emotional discussion about how I already feel insecure and like I'm not enough for her. And I felt very upset at the idea of this. However, I also didn't want to be selfish and get in the way of something that she really wanted to do because of my own insecurity. After a very emotional discussion, mostly on my end, I agreed to opening up our relationship for the time being. I'm not the type to have one-night stands or go clubbing, but I would also be free to sleep with another partner if that unlikely situation arose for me. We had a big talk about our boundaries and how it's probably better that we find out if our relationship works like this now before she builds resentment for not being able to live the life that she wanted to. After this discussion, I felt an intense sadness and I was unable to sleep. I have been crying all day and I feel like I can't go through with this decision. Although she hasn't slept with anyone yet, it feels like the relationship will never be the same, and there's not a level of closeness or comfort that I will ever achieve with her again. I have big issues with rejection, and even though the ball is in my court and I know that I'm being reasonable, I feel completely rejected by her and I feel like I'm undesirable and not enough as a partner. I don't know if I can carry on like this. My stomach has been in knots all day and I can't stop thinking about it. I feel like we urgently need a discussion about compatibility and if our relationship can work with our different values around sex. She's away for another month and I don't want to do anything to ruin her holiday while she's away, but the idea of holding this in for another month is killing me. Y'all know how I feel about it, and I think we know. There's 3 words that sum it up every time. Couldn't be me. Maybe some of you out there could, and you would be totally okay with your partner having a hall pass while traveling or whatever, but not me.
No, don't like that.
If sharing is caring when it comes to that, then I don't care, you know? We have an update, and it came 3 days later. We're now at March 10th. After sitting with my feelings for a few days, I told her how deeply hurt I was and that I couldn't just pretend that everything was fine. I ended things because I knew I wouldn't be able to feel the same security and trust in our relationship again. She was furious. She said she was bringing up the idea that it was a two-way conversation where the ball was in my court and that I was making myself a victim. She's also extremely upset that I broke up with her while she's still traveling for another month and says that I should have waited. I do feel terrible that she's now going through this while abroad and doesn't have her support system around her, but I also feel like she put me in an impossible situation by bringing this up while we were doing long distance. So now I'm asking, am I the a-hole for breaking up with her over this and not waiting until she got home? I feel like it just would have resulted in a breakup regardless if you went back and said, hey, I actually don't want this. Because you already told her she could. I don't know. Y'all were on way different pages. I don't know if it was gonna work either way. It doesn't end there. We actually now have an update that came 9 days later on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2025. Sir, on Christmas Day? So all of this happened about a year ago, and although it was initially tough, I managed to pull myself out of the depression and go down the self-improvement route. I lost 20 kgs and I started training in the gym, and I feel the healthiest I ever have been, and I've never found it easier to date. I honestly thought I was moving on from this breakup in a very healthy and positive way, up until about 2 months ago when my ex butt dialed me after us being completely no contact, which led to us having a small catch up over text. I initially felt okay after this interaction as I was in such a good place. However, in the weeks following, doubt and loneliness have crept in and slowly increased. I now miss her so much, and even though I know it's the worst idea, I want to try things again with her. After dating around and even experimenting with poly relationships myself, nobody has come close to the compatibility that I had with her. I miss so many things: our inside jokes, the way we'd always be looking after each other, the sexual compatibility. Even though she hurt me in such a deep way, I want to live the future that we dreamed of while we were together. There's nobody I would rather grow old with or start a family with. This feeling of missing her and wanting her back seems to have come back out of nowhere, and I feel so surprised by it after I was being so strong and moving on so well. While she hurt me and made me feel so undesirable, this pain built me into the person I'm proud that I am today, and I want her to see the person I have become. I would give anything to meet with her again and joke around like we used to, hear her voice and see her face again. I know I'm viewing things with rose-colored glasses, and in reality, we were incompatible in so many ways. And if we were to get back together, we probably couldn't move past the hurt of the first breakup. Hell, she hasn't even really apologized for what she did and still probably views me as the villain for breaking up with her while she's away. However, I can't deny this gut feeling that we're meant to be together, that nobody is a better fit for me than her, and that I can forgive her and try again. Maybe it's just a classic case of Christmas blues. I mean, I think so. After any breakup, a holiday will always have so many emotions running back because it's like it's your first Christmas without them. It's your first Christmas without their family. Oh, holidays after a breakup it's not a good time. It brings up a lot of emotions and old memories. There's no update after that. I'm assuming it was just a case of Christmas blues. Next story. I told the mistress that she got the leftovers and she is not happy about that. This story came February 26th, 2026. I have been married to my husband for 15 years. I have a great life and I love everything about it. He has a great career and I feel very spoiled. I only have to work with what I love, and it is that I design jewelry, and the profit would never give me the life that I am living right now. I have not paid bills in years, and I spend my days in my studio, working out, or having fun with friends. Our families are very close and we have a big social circle that I love very much. He is great. He cooks and cleans with me, and I never feel like I do more than him. He makes my favorite food every Friday, and he would drive at 3 a.m. at night if I was feeling down or wanted a burger or candy. I want to believe that I would do the same with him, other than I cannot drive. Cheating on me was a mystery to me. I was in shock for a long while, but I couldn't tell anyone because I didn't want my life to crumble. Then I got used to it. I let go of the love and I just kept the friendship and companionship. I want my house, my travels, my family and friends. Everything I have is thanks to him. I got her "Hey girly" message last month and I didn't even open it. It was on Instagram, but I didn't accept her invitation to speak, so she reached out on TikTok instead. And later I found a request on Facebook Messenger too. Then, I don't know how, but she got my number and she called me. I answered because I thought it was a buyer, but she had cornered me. I froze and she calmly told me to see what she left on Instagram and TikTok. I just hung up in panic. So I opened her "Hi girly" text. I couldn't help but be confused. She pretended that she didn't know I existed when I saw all of her texts about me. She hasn't seen me when I have known who she is. I didn't read all of it, but I wrote to her that I knew about the affair and that she could stop lying because I knew for a fact that she knew he was married and to who. She became very hostile very fast and told me if I was better, maybe he blah blah blah. You know the rest. I told her that she could have my leftovers, the parts of him that I don't want and according to her neglected. I told her that she could have his body and even his heart. I have other more important things. I have half of everything else at least, so the leftovers are truly hers. Congrats. She went berserk with insults, so I blocked her. I have been crying since. What do people like her want when they contact the partner of the affair? I am not looking for leave him advice. I love my life and his love and sex don't matter to me anymore anyway. Okay, well, I can't relate to this because I would be devastated. I mean, respectfully, it's very clear that she just doesn't want to give up the money, the lifestyle that she has of him paying all the bills. And yeah, the fact that she would have to start working and paying her own bills. We're gonna check out some comments because I do wanna know what people are saying about this. Comment section time. Someone commented and said, is it an affair with this one woman or are there more than one? Have you noticed any change in his behavior towards you? She responded and said, one woman. Oh, it was his behavior that was the first thing I noticed, that something was terribly off. He became silent and had the 1,000-yard stare. You notice especially when you are very close and open with each other, but it was his smile and not meeting my eyes before looking away. I started having nightmares by then, and one day he said he was staying the night out. He never did that in our entire marriage since he always longed to come home. It was a running joke that he would go crazy if he stayed away for a couple more hours at work. He came home in the middle of the night and he was a total mess and very emotional and told me he never wanted to stay late again. It took me a couple more times over the following months to sneak out to do the laundry after he spent a night away and came in the early morning when I was sleeping. He usually unpacks his bags, but I managed to sneak into the laundry room and to see his bag where I found rubbers. I knew then my feelings were right, and that is when I saw her text. Then the nights out became something that just happened and his smile went back to normal. Sounds fun. Next comment, how long have you known about the affair? She said 8 months probably. Next comment, has he ever been abusive in any way? Physically, verbally, financially, anything? She said, oh no, unless you count cheating, which is a form of abuse in my opinion. But if you mean that he can hit or assault, then no. He is very gentle and full of praise and compliments. And money. Next comment, do you have children? She said, no, we are child-free. Now that we have some more information, we have an update, and it came 6 days later. We are now at March 4th, 2026. His mistress has told him about me. Not sure when she told him, but he's hovering around me this week like he wanted to say something, and this morning he did. Which was odd because he usually doesn't have a lot of time in the morning for a serious discussion, but maybe this was the plan, just to get it over with. He just came to the kitchen and told me that you need to know that it's over with her, and it has been over since New Year's. I ended it. I looked at him and he couldn't see my eyes. I said, okay, but next time tell them to never bother me again. He said there won't be a next time and that he loved me and he was so sorry. He made his way for a hug or something, but I guess my look was good enough warning to not come near me. Not sure why his apology and love declaration made me more angry than anything else that I've felt since I found out. I wanted to yell and scream and hit him, but I stayed frozen in my chair. How dare he apologize or even pretend to love me? I said, yes, you will, and the next woman is not allowed to contact me. That's all that matters. It wasn't a debate, it was a fact that I was stating. Then, when he has hovered for enough time, I asked him why he ended it with her. He said because he realized that I knew. I asked him why he didn't tell me until she told him I knew, and he said because he is a coward and thought that he was sparing me the pain, but that he realized I knew and ended the affair, which led her to contact me. I gave him my phone so he could see all the screenshots I took of her trying to contact me for the past month or so. I asked him if he loved her. He said no. I told him not to lie because I saw the text messages. He said maybe at first because it was something new and he got his feelings mixed up with excitement, but he realized very quickly that it wasn't love. I said, and like me, you don't want to lose half of this. He said that wasn't why he loved me or wanted me, and I said, well, that's my only reason. Then before he left, he asked me if I would ever forgive him, and I said no, and it was final. I told him that even if I could forgive the physical affair, once the images of them together that I see whenever I close my eyes start to fade a day, but I will never forgive that he destroyed the man I thought I had. He made me realize that the man only ever existed in my head, and I will never forgive him for that. He left to go to work and left me totally drained in the kitchen. Then, a few hours later, my mother-in-law showed up and I could finally cry. He had told her and his dad what he had done, and she wanted to come check on me. She suggested therapy and said that he wanted to try it. Honestly, I don't mind the idea, and I do think I need one on my own too. I also need a refugee or sanctuary, a place I can spend some time away from him, a few days a week or maybe a week every month, and he can use that time to do whatever he wants, away from me without making excuses about how busy he is tonight. Okay, but I still feel like there's no resolution here. So we're gonna stay married, you're allowing him to cheat, but the girl's not allowed to contact you, and you'll never forgive him. So what's the plan? Are you gonna start being with someone else? Okay, well, the story was concluded, but for me, there was no conclusion. We got more drama, but you know the drill. We gotta take a sip of water today. Cheers. I don't make the rules, but I'm here to remind you need water. You guys, all is well in the world again, because guess what? We have her back. She was at the jeweler's for a few weeks getting resized because it just was a little bit big. It just turned a lot. And we also picked up the wedding band that came with it. Because if you didn't know, when Matt got the ring, there was actually a matching wedding band that went with it. And they put it on hold for me if I wanted to try it on, like when we came back from Los Angeles. And I absolutely loved it and adored it. So we sniped it for whenever the time comes when we get married, because it matches, it's like supposed to go with this ring. Anyways, all is well in the world. She's back. Next story. My girlfriend, 32 female of 6 months, wants me, 32 male, to take pictures of my deceased wife off the wall. I have read a handful of stories where a new partner has an issue about the deceased partner. This will be interesting. This came December 8th, 2015. Backstory is, I married my wife when I was 24 years old. She was diagnosed with stomach cancer when I was 29 and she was 31, and it was a life-changing experience for me. About 6 months before that diagnosis, we were considering divorce, but after she was diagnosed, things took a rapid 180. We forgot all about the divorce. We tried to enjoy each other's company, and the more and more sick she got, the more and more I did for her. Some things which were that I never thought I could do, like changing her bedpan and dirty sheets and keeping her at home for her to pass here peacefully. That immediately put a pit in my stomach. Losing a partner, I just can't fathom. A nightmare. It changed me as a human being, and as much as I hate the experience, I know it turned me into a better person. I have become much more kind and patient since all of these things happened. I stopped being completely shallow, and if I'm being perfectly honest, even my views on women changed because I wasn't a good man back then, and I was emotionally very immature and selfish. I am still not perfect, but I do believe I treat people better than I did before, and I don't know why it took something that drastic to make me become a better person, but I did. Everything after she passed was a blur, and I suffered miserably remembering some of the awful things I did and said to her. It was a typical grief process, which I managed to find my way through, even if I do still have some regrets, and I do think about her a lot. So, skipping forward to about 9 months ago, a lady I used to work with started helping me with my son a few hours a week. She needed some extra money and knew I was a single dad, and she knew what happened with my wife because we worked together while all of these things had happened. I think she had intended to pursue me very soon afterwards, and I wasn't totally reluctant because I did start to develop feelings for her too, and we eased into a relationship which was very comfortable for me. I have been nicer to her than I ever was with my wife, and a few months after she started helping me with my son, we decided we would like to be more than just friends. months. I was completely okay with this, but was always really honest about my feelings for my wife and the fact I don't think I'll ever want to remove her from my life or my son's life. We moved in together about a month ago, and she moved into my house. This house that my wife and I shared long before she ever even came into the picture. My girlfriend has been wonderful to my son. She has been patient with me too. She's the first woman I've slept with since my wife passed away, and the first woman I've wanted to be in a relationship with as a single father. I don't really have the energy or desire to date around. She's truly the only woman who has interested me enough to want to be in a relationship with her. A few days ago, I came home and the pictures of my wife that were on the mantle were not on it anymore, and I asked her why she took them down. She said she bought me some new art that she wanted to put there, and I told her it wasn't okay. She got really upset with me and told me that I need to get out of this funk and that it's been so long, and since I was planning on divorcing my wife anyways, it wasn't like there was anything to grasp onto anymore. Insane. To question anyone's grief journey, no matter how long it's been, is insane.
How dare you?
Then she said it bothered her that she moved into my house and that I won't let her decorate or change it around at all. And that's not really true. I just haven't gotten around to thinking about completely changing my house around for her. I don't know what advice I'm seeking. I guess I just want to know if it's really that inappropriate to have pictures of my wife up when I have a new girlfriend. This is completely new for me, and I haven't lived with anyone else, and I don't know how it works. The pictures are all over the house, in the living room. There are some on the refrigerator. There's one in the dining room from our wedding day. My son also has some in his room, and I have some in my room, but I put them away in a drawer after that because I can understand how it might be strange for her to have intimacy in front of those pictures. I don't want to use my son as an excuse for holding on to my wife, but I do think we should keep some pictures up for him, and she understands that, but says that we should just keep them in his room. I'm not sure if I'm out of line telling her no effing way will I take the pictures down, because there will always be a part of me that loves my wife. I didn't word it like that to her, but it feels like a silly thing to argue over, and I don't want to continue arguing over it. I'm not trying to be insensitive to her feelings, but I think she's taking it too far by taking them down herself. Yeah. I can't imagine ever doing that. That is not your place to make that decision, especially when a child's involved and that is his mother. Oof. We have the update. I'm curious to see how this goes. It came the next day. Last night really didn't go well at all for all parties involved. My girlfriend got back and was very hostile towards me after I had asked her countless times what she did with the pictures. She interrogated me as to why I have the pictures in the first place and accused me of pleasuring myself to them. Seriously, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. She said that I am being insensitive to her needs, I'm not meeting her needs, I treat her just as bad as I did my wife, and that the pictures need to come down because she's not comfortable with the fact that I, quote, pleasure myself to them. Whoa. No, I would not pleasure myself to the pictures on the mantle. I do have some intimate photos of my wife stored away in a safe, but I haven't touched them in years. And the ones on the mantle are not something I would even consider doing that to. I tried to compromise, and I offered her even another wall in the house if she would just put the pictures back, and then offered to keep them in my safe where she doesn't have to look at them, which I wouldn't really have done most likely, but I wanted to see if she would tell me where they were if I offered that. I have been extremely honest about my feelings towards my wife and the fact that she will never leave my life. And when I married her, I vowed to love her forever, including in death. And she needs to accept it or get out. I offered to buy her a hotel room for the night because I needed time to myself, which she flipped out about, and then said she was going to her friend's house. She texted me throughout the night telling me about what an awful human being I am. So after she went to her friend's house, I invited over my wife's sister, who I haven't talked to much lately because my girlfriend has been jealous of her in the past and I didn't want to cause issues, so I backed off from her. My wife's sister is very special to both my son and I. There has never been anything romantic romantic between us. We've been platonic friends for a long time, and if anything, I view her as my own sister. When I was married, we didn't like each other at all because she was my wife's best friend, and they talked about everything, including our marital issues. After my wife passed away, however, she and I became best friends, and I have no shame in this. She is a great role model to my son. My son loves her, and in ways, it's like the two of them combined are this piece of my wife that I miss so much. Oh my God, my heart. I think it's super triggering because obviously if you're new here, my fiance's mother passed away a couple years ago, and just seeing that and what his dad has gone through, I don't wish it upon anyone, yet we all have to go through it eventually. Oh my God. She looks a lot like my wife, so yes, she is beautiful, which I think is part of why my girlfriend became jealous and part of why I understood why she didn't want us to have a close relationship. So I listened to her there, and I still talk to her enough just to keep her in my son's life, but we stopped watching movies together or getting dinner and playing video games or doing any of the things that friends usually do together. So when she came over, we decided to have a bottle of wine, turn on a movie. Basically, we did what we always did in the past. We talked about my wife and what she would be like now, what she would think of all the cell phone cameras because my wife loved photography, what she would think of my girlfriend if we had gone through the divorce and she was alive, what kind of mother she would be to our son, and what she would think about his interest in robotics. We talked about giving him one of her old cameras. Then inevitably, we talked about my girlfriend, and she did bring up a lot of great points that I truly was just blinded to. We came to the conclusion together that my girlfriend was being manipulative with the tactics she used to move in with me, that hiding the pictures should always be a deal breaker, that isolating me from my wife's family may have been emotional abuse. Just a lot of things that I hadn't really considered before. My now ex-girlfriend came home around 5 in the morning. My wife's sister slept in my son's room with him, where she always sleeps, because we had been drinking last night and it wouldn't be appropriate for her to drive home. So my girlfriend literally flips the F out about my wife's sister's car being out front. She started telling my wife's sister she is a sleut and that she knew I had been cheating on her the second she walked in the door. I know it looks bad, but my wife's sister is practically a sister to me and is my son's aunt, and I'm not completely unethical. To me, it would be no different than having my own sister spend the night. And at this point, I was considering breaking up with her anyway, so it didn't really matter to me what she thought of the situation. Finally, my wife's sister went off on my girlfriend, and my girlfriend got crazy and told me I need to choose right now between my wife's sister and her. I told her I wasn't playing the ultimatum game, and I told her that I wasn't choosing my wife's sister, but I was kicking her out and not keeping her in my life. My girlfriend went out on the patio and played with her phone. My sister-in-law left and took my son with her to get him somewhere safer. I went outside to tell her I would be giving her some cash and buying her a moving truck to get her to wherever she needs to go, but she is no longer welcome in my house. She got really upset with me. Some things I have learned. 1, I am in fact ready to date once I get past this ordeal. It has been 5 years. I am ready for that, and I think my son is as well, even if I take it way slower next time and I don't start inviting women to live with me. I do believe I might be able to find a nice woman who accepts my wife's role in both mine and my son's life, based on the response in the previous thread from other women. Number 2, my sister-in-law believes I'm prone to just put up with stuff from people because of what I went through with my wife and being fearful of losing people or just reliving that nightmare. Number 3, I feel terrible to have put my son through this, but I'm confident about talking to him and explaining why, and also apologizing to him. He's a smart boy, and I don't want to remove people from his life, but it's not okay to let people abuse you or take advantage of you. I think he will understand that. And I'll be explaining that sometimes people appear very nice, but they are not actually nice. This woman came into our lives and tried to take the place of his mother. No woman will ever replace his mother. And then he added and edit. Because a lot of people have asked, no, I didn't get the pictures back. And I don't think I will. Oh, that makes me sick. My sister-in-law has my wife's darkroom equipment, and we want to make it a point to set it up and learn how to process some old negatives. And I also have access to all of the negatives from the pictures that my now ex-girlfriend took. I can have them blown up again, and even if they aren't the originals, I will at least have them. Well, thank God, but still, disgusting behavior. Ugh, it's making me angry. Ugh. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, you guys. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.